Jim, I'll start with you because you wrote that. I guess it should be Pino, right? Rhymes with Rhino, Republican in name only. Pino.
I guess.
Where is he?
Because everyone calls. Look, this started out as, wow, this is really weird. By the time we got up this morning, and there was no on-camera statement, there was no taped statement, there was no radio address. It does not make any sense for both the president's doctor, 45 minutes before the announcement, puts out a statement saying the president's recovering great, blood oxygen level is what it should be, all his vitals look fine. He's doing fine. Also, you can't see him. You're not allowed to see him at all. And then Kamala Harris comes out and says, oh, he's recovering terrific, but you don't see him. We didn't even get a picture of him signing this document. So it really feels like this morning, the range of outcomes are he's got COVID and his voice is just wrecked. And you just, his voice was already kind of weak, and he often would get this kind of raspy whisper. So maybe it's really just that. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, Megyn, by the way, Charlie, good to see you. This sense of like, is he conscious right now? Is he, bedridden? Does he look so sick? And the other thing in the back of my mind is like, first of all, I want to point out, so I was at the Republican convention last week. Rational people who are not conspiracy theorists, people who are not prone to hyperbole. When the report came out, oh, the president's got COVID, in the mainstream media, we're not, oh, okay, he's got COVID. They were like, do you think that's COVID? Do you think that's something else? Do you think they're using this as an excuse? That speculation was going around, not just in us crazy right-winger circles, but elsewhere. And then just second, like, if he's well, why can't we see him? Why can't we get a picture of him? And then you mentioned the comment from Frank Biden. I kind of want to say, we've always thought Biden was too old to serve a second term. Signs have been obvious, but I think really like this is now getting to a kind of a really chilling and unnerving tone to all of this. That we really should be seeing the president by now.
This is getting even more scandalous, Charles, because he is the sitting president. This would be bad enough if he had announced he was stepping down from his second term bid and the presidency, and we weren't seeing him. People would have questions. Where is he? Why isn't there at least a still shot? All of that is traditional. Not for an announcement like this, but when the president's issuing a large paper statement or something, they'll often show him signing legislation. They'll just show you at least video of him. But he's the sitting commander in chief. Right. He still does have the nuclear football. So where is he? And how long could they possibly keep him out of public sight?
I find this very weird too. You know me, Megyn, I'm an anti-conspiracy theorist. I'm a skeptic.
I think the three of us might be the last three saying President Trump lost the 2020 election. We are very slow to jump on, popular beliefs just because they're popular. So yes, for us three to be saying this is weird tells people something.
Right, it's weird. And President Trump did lose the 2020 election, as you say. and you throw up a conspiracy theory and I will knock it down. But this is odd. Now, again, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. As Jim says, it could just be that he really is sick and seems feeble and doesn't want to be seen. But the thing that is particularly bizarre about this, from my perspective, is that there hasn't been anything. There hasn't been a photograph that wouldn't be affected by his voice. There hasn't even been a TikTok in, not the app run by the Chinese Communist Party, I mean a moment-by-moment account in the newspaper of how this went down. This note was released on Twitter without his staff knowing. They were surprised by it. So all of the usual coverage that we would expect to see has been missing. And it does make you wonder. I mean, look, it is not new for the White House or the press to cover up presidents who are in dire straits. This happened with Woodrow Wilson in the last year of his second term. It happened with Franklin Roosevelt. There's better reason for that one, I think, because we were engaged in a world war, but nevertheless, his health was covered up. Many of Kennedy's health problems, and indeed his dalliances with women who were not his wife, were covered up by the press. In Britain, Winston Churchill had a stroke and was essentially incapacitated for 6 months, and the press hid that. It's not beyond the reasonable thoughts of reasonable people to wonder whether the White House and the press might, for 24 hours, be trying to hide Biden's condition. And I've had the same thoughts as Jim. I mean, perhaps it's that he has really bad COVID, but perhaps he's had a stroke. I mean, perhaps he's on a ventilator. It would be good to know, because this is about more than just the election. Now, the Democrats have only cared about this because of the election. The reason that he was kicked out, he's not a wonderful, selfless man. He was kicked out. Nancy Pelosi made it clear what would happen to him. The reason he was kicked out was because he was losing, and losing badly. The Midwest was gone, and he was losing in states such as New Hampshire and New Mexico and Virginia, which you just don't want to do, to Donald Trump, of all people. But he's still the president. And because he's still the president, not only does it matter, as you outlined, but actually as voters, as citizens, we do have a right to know this. We don't have a right to know the internal machinations of the Democratic Party. It's a semi-private institution. We do have a right to know whether the president is able to be photographed or filmed saying he's dropping out.
That's absolutely right. Jim points out in a great piece on National Review Online today as well, and our nationalreview.com. Politico's reporting the White House chief of staff, rather than Biden himself, informed the cabinet of the decision. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he can't make phone calls? That's not what, like, is he dying of COVID? I thought Paxlovid would solve this.
So, before I go any further, I want to point out that as important as what you do, Megyn, and what Charlie does, nothing we do is as important as the presidency. But if for some reason we couldn't continue doing our jobs, we would want to tell our readers and our listeners, hey, here's what's going on. And I'm sorry, I'd like to be able to continue. It's that letter had one paragraph that just said, it's best for me to focus on my duties as president right now. No explanation of this is a health issue. No explanation of my advisors have come to me and said there's no path to victory in the general election. No path that it's time for me to pass it. It's just there. It's just two sentences in it. And I will tell you more later. And we're coming up probably by the end of this program, we'll hit 24 hours where not only have we not, seen the president, there's just nothing further. And I'm just saying, if you're president, wouldn't you want to tell the people? Wouldn't you want to say, my fellow Americans, it has been my greatest honor to be your president, but that time is coming to an end, and here's why. Lyndon Johnson did it from the Oval Office. This is, completely weird. Just because it just, and the other thing, I've one or two people said to me, Jim, it's the most bitter pill he's ever had to swallow, and he's so upset and he's so frustrated he just can't look at anybody, and that's why he's not doing it. Well, you're the president. You can't.
Jim froze, but we'll try to unfreeze him. We have magical defrosting abilities, which we will spray on Jim, and we will bring him back while we talk to Charlie. But wait, let me just point this out, Charlie. This is also from Jim's piece this morning. He's citing the news about Frank Biden, the president's younger brother, in that statement that I just read, that I just paraphrased. The actual statement is, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. He said this to CBS News. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. He's a genuine hero. Again, this is the younger brother. Whatever time we have left. And Jim goes on to write as follows. The president's brother was then asked whether he felt the president's overall health and vitality played a role in the decision. And he answered, in my humble opinion, absolutely. So his health, of course, did play a role. Oh, look, my defrosting abilities work on Jim the same way they work when I make the dinner in the microwave. Go ahead, Jim Geraghty.
Megyn, Charlie, I'm sorry. I just froze like Biden at a White House event. I just kind of suddenly couldn't move. I guess in light of that, I really shouldn't joke about his health condition. But just kind of to wrap up my point that the fact that Biden isn't out there to tell us when you kind of figure he'd want to is another sign that something is very wrong and we're not getting told the whole story. Okay,
so here's where I wanted to go with it, Charlie. You guys are old enough, at least Jim is, and I think you're old enough for this reference, Charlie. I've been mentioning it the past couple of days. I finally pulled a clip. It was a movie called Dave, and it starred Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver. And the plot of Dave is that the president has a stroke, and is incapacitated. And rather than being honest about that and transferring power to the vice president, his staff hires a lookalike who, also played by Kevin Kline, is a dead ringer for the actual president and convinces him it's in the best interest of the country for him to step in and pretend to be the president. Not even the first lady is let in on the secret. And I really have to wonder whether something not too far from this scene is happening right now. Watch.
The reason we invited you here tonight is because something has happened to the president. It's actually kind of serious, Dave. I'm afraid the president's not in very good shape.
Will he be all right?
Oh, yeah. Probably.
We think so.
Yes. Oh. Dave, sometimes we need our friends and even our enemies to feel safe and secure. We need them to feel like they can go to bed at night knowing that President Mitchell is fully in control.
What about the vice president?
Vice President?
We didn't want to have to tell you this, Dave. But the vice president is mentally unbalanced.
Dave, the country is sick.
And you're going to get it to the hospital.
I mean, hello? That literally could have happened on Sunday morning, as far as we know. Not with a lookalike, but the rope-a-dope, right? Where they're doing what they think is in the best interest for the country, Charlie. He's got to step aside. But we really have no idea whether he's fully functioning physically or mentally behind closed doors.
Yeah, I hope that's not happening. I have seen that movie, and it ends with them contriving the most insanely left-wing set of policies that you've ever heard of. I mean, policies that Bernie Sanders would say, wow, that's a bit far. So let's hope that we're not headed towards that conclusion. I think he gets Charles Grodin to come in and
he does the books. That's his buddy who's his accountant, and he comes in and does the White House books.
And they realize, because of course, the budget couldn't be balanced for years by Congress or other presidents, but his accountant buddy comes in and just works it out. It's just classic Hollywood. But no, I mean, look, the other reason that it is important for this to be resolved by the White House is that there will be a lot of people out there who are irresponsible, who will start making hay of this and spreading conspiracy theories, not saying, hey, this looks a bit weird, this should be addressed, but spreading actual conspiracy theories. And we live in a real and hostile world in which there are people who wish the United States harm and wish our allies harm. And you can't have this for too long, not knowing where the president of the United States is. And I really don't say that to be mawkish. The system under which we live vests power in one person. It does not say, as many tried before Biden dropped out, that you elect as a citizen a team. A team does not stand in front of the Chief Justice and take the oath of office. A team does not sign legislation. A team is not commander-in-chief.
Some Americans enjoy using their credit cards because it can be a hassle-free and secure way to pay. But our sponsor, the American Payments Coalition, says that some DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. They say the bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. They say corporate megastores will make more money and you'll end up paying the price. Find out more info at guardyourcard.com and consider telling Congress to guard your card while you're there too. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.